Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. Okay, in this video we're gonna be talking about one of the rarest vehicles out there. You still probably see them sporadically, maybe every now and then. It's not as often. Was a GM product, and we're talking about the Saturn Sky. And before we get into the video, I want to show you something. I know a lot of y'all been hitting me up on my Cadillac, my Challenger, and my Excursion here. And as I start to do more updates on them, I will keep you guys up to date on any updates or anything I do, any changes I make to them. You guys will follow me through the whole process. So believe me when I tell you, it is good to be able to have the ability to be able to do stuff like this. So y'all will follow me along this journey to see all three of these cars become something. So I just wanted to give y'all on that. And so like I was saying before, we're going to talk about the Saturn Sky because it's a rare vehicle. And so before we start that, make sure y'all tap in, punch down on that like button, punch down on that subscribe button. Also make sure you turn on your notifications too, because when I drop them fresh uploads, they going straight to your notification box to let you know I got a new video that just dropped. Now let's get into the video. I'm gonna go ahead and set y'all up on a tripod because we are about to get into a little bit of history here on this vehicle we call the Saturn Sky. And it was a little sport. It was GM. It was a GM product. And I know a lot of you guys remember this. Probably some of you may not even remember the Saturn Sky. It's been so long because it was out in 2006. So let's get into a little bit of history about the Saturn Sky, shall we? So the Saturn Sky was a sporty roadster that was produced from 2006 to 2009 as a 2007 to 2010 model year. It was designed to be more upscale and stylish offering than its sibling, the Pontiac Solstice. Now, y'all probably, some of you might not remember the Pontiac Solstice, but in case you don't know what the Pontiac Solstice looks like, here's a picture of the Pontiac Solstice to give you an idea. That's the Solstice right there, and you can see that the Solstice and the Sky have similarities, a little bit of body style and things like that. So you can definitely see that they definitely use the same platform. So that's the Solstice. The Sky was known for its attractive design and performance, particularly in the red line trim, which featured a turbocharged engine. Despite initial enthusiasm, production numbers were relatively low, and the Saturn brand, along with the Sky, was discontinued in 2010 due to the 2008 financial crisis and corporate restructuring. Now, I know y'all probably heard me in a couple of videos way back. I can't remember which video I discussed this in, but we were talking about the crisis that happened in 2008 when the market crashed and a lot of companies went belly up. A lot of people lost money. Automakers lost money, billionaires, millionaires, big companies just lost money. GM lost money. There were a lot of automakers that lost money that year. And so it came to the point to where they couldn't survive long enough past 2010 because of the hit that they took due to that market crashing, that they had to get rid of a lot of automakers. We're talking about Hummer, Saturn was also one, Pontiac was one. We also had let me see. So it was Hummer, it was Saturn, it was Pontiac, it was Oldsmobile, and I believe it was one more. I know it was one more, but I can't think of it right now. But right off the top of my head, I know those 4 companies all went out of business. The only one that came back was Hummer. And Hummer came back under the GMC umbrella. So Hummer was the only one that was revived out of those 4. So none of those ever came back. But they tried their hardest to try to work past that crisis in 2008. And it just didn't work. So they had to do away with a lot of them. And Saturn was just one of those companies under the GM umbrella that just could not survive after 2010. That financial crisis took these companies took an existential hit when that market crashed. So y'all have to understand that. And that's the reason why Saturn is no longer a company today. So the Saturn Sky concept, it debuted in 2005, but the production came in 2006. Another thing you need to know is the Pontiac Solstice and the Sky was both built on GM's Kappa platform. The high performance Redline model featured a turbocharged engine that was introduced in 2006. While well received, the Sky's production numbers remained relatively low throughout its lifespan, which means really people really wasn't too interested in this Saturn Sky. Like, they didn't sell well. So that's another thing as well, you know. It just didn't, the numbers just wasn't, you know, all that great. So that was a problem. That was a problem with GM when they realized that the numbers just wasn't adding up. And then at the same time, you take an existential hit as a result of the 2008 market crash. I mean, everybody took a major hit. Big companies took major hits. And GM just happened to be one of them. And that's why Saturn, along with a lot of other car brands, did not survive. And you see them sporadically, like the Saturn Sky. I personally, it's wild because there's somebody that lives like right around the corner from my house who actually still has a Saturn Sky. And it's crazy because you don't really see those anymore. But yet there's a person that lives right around the corner from my house who actually has one. And so he still has his Saturn Sky. And you know, that's crazy. So that's the thing that you have to understand about Saturn and the Sky. So they just did not have it. It was, you know, it was up and down, and productively, their numbers were low. I mean, it's a nice little sporty two-seater and everything. You know, not a lot of power. You know, so you can't rely on that. You know, and it was a GM product. You know, and so that's the thing you got to understand. But don't get me wrong, you could still find these Saturn Skies online when you look. Like, I'm looking on Edmunds.com right now, and I'm looking at some Saturns right now, the Saturn Sky. They have one with 113,000 miles that they're selling for $7,200. Here's another one for 143,000 miles, and they want $29,000 for it. And I found a third one that only has 68,000 miles. They only want $8,500 for it. And they have one that's got even lower miles. This one has 23,000 miles, and they only want $14,495. So you can still find these Saturn Skies around. So the way I'm looking at these prices, it looks like the starting price for a Saturn Sky on the low end would start somewhere around 7 to 8 grand. And on the high end, like I said, I seen one here for 29,000. So we're going to go up at somewhere around 29-30. So on a high end, yeah, it's going to be about 29 and 30. But you want a Saturn Sky on the cheap end, yeah, prices here look like it's about start anywhere from around $7,000 to $8,000. That's on the low end. Okay, that's on the low end. Because I'm looking at some of these, and some of these have low mileage. And like some of these hasn't even hit 100,000 miles yet. Like, it is one here with 45,000 miles. They want 14 grand for it. You know, but like I said, it depends on, you know, what your financial, you know, what you look like financially. But you can still find these Saturn Skies. They are out there, and you can find one. It's just crazy that you don't see them. But there's plenty of them in here. They're sitting at dealerships in different locations. It's just that, you know, people are not buying them. But they're, like I said, and that's why they're so rare, because you don't see them in the streets, but there's plenty of them out there. It's just people are not into them. And people are not really into the Saturn Sky. So that's with that. Now let's take a look at the vehicle itself. So here we have the Saturn Sky, red line. All right, well, let's take a look at the bottom first. And as you can see, this is a Maisto brand. And you can see right there, it says Saturn Sky. This is a 124 scale. I only deal with 124 scales. And, you know, it has a beautiful red color, which I like. And let's take a look at the interior. We can actually see it from here. So let's take a closer look. And you can see the detail in the dash. You can see the Saturn logo right there on the center of the steering wheel. You can see that the center dash is very detailed. It has the gauge cluster, which is detailed as well. So you can see all the details up there in the center. And let's look there. You can also see the seat belt. The seat belt thing. The things you click your seat belts in. Those are also detailed in red right there. I like the little humps that come over right here on the back side behind the seats here. And as you can see, this is a two-seater. There's nothing behind it, you know, you and somebody else, or it can be just you by yourself. Then let's look at the engine there. Okay, so you can see it has an Ecotech engine under the hood. As you can see right there, it says Ecotech. And as you can see, the hood opens in the opposite direction too, as well. You know, it opens like, you know, how the early Corvette models used to open. You know, I think there are some Jaguars that have hoods that open this way as well. So this is definitely a thing to look at. Let's look at the front here. You can see the Saturn logo on the front. You know, everything looks nice and detailed there with the grill and all that stuff. You got nice wheels. If you look close, you can see the Saturn logo right there in the center of the wheels. Now let's turn it to the back. A very detailed in the back with the tail lights. You can see the Saturn logo. In the middle, the Saturn license plate, and it says Sky. And then it says Turbo on the other side. You can see the square exhaust pipes on the back, which is a cool, neat look. Now, the back does not open, so there's no opening parts for the rear, but the doors does open, and you do get an opening hood as well. So you do get those things. Do get an opening hood and both opening doors, just no trunk opening or whatever. But I had to have this because as far as diecasts go, you know, these are pretty hard to come by. You can find them online sparingly. Depends on what region you're in. You know, it's hard to find these. Now I saw a Pontiac Solstice, and it got away from me before I got a chance to purchase it. So I'm out on the Solstice, because I was going to get that. You know, it got away from me. You know, you can't have them all. But I was lucky and fortunate enough to be able to land the Saturn Sky. So at least if I was going to get one, I was going to get the Saturn Sky if I had to make a choice between the two, because this one is probably the most rare out of the two, the Saturn Sky. So yeah, I had to have this. I think it's a cool car. And, you know, it is a Maisto brand product. I like what they did with it. It's pretty cool. You know, the wheels do turn. It has turning wheels. So, that's another thing. And, you know, like I said, they didn't miss on the details. I mean, it looks just like the Sky. So, that's what I like about it. And, yeah, it's cool, and I like to have it in my collection. You know, I'm the type of person that likes to have like those rare type of vehicles in my collection, especially those ones that's really hard to come by. So I have a lot of those, and as y'all continue to watch my channel, you guys will see that. You know, so just continue to keep watching. You know, I really thank you guys for tuning in and continuing to watch my channel. And for the new subscribers, thank you for subscribing to the channel. I just want you to be able to take a look into my world to kind of see what I got going on as far as my diecast, my 124s, and, you know, just seeing the creative side of myself and how I get down. with my collection, and how I work my collection, what I do with my collection and what I have. I just like to show you guys what I got in my collection and what I'm doing with my 124s and things like that, and hopefully it's an inspiration for some of you guys to be creative in your own right. But this is what I do in my world. So welcome. I'm welcoming you guys into it so you can kind of get an idea of what I do and how I work my mojo. But anyway, that's enough rambling. And that is the Saturn Sky. Like I said, it's a rare one. You can still find these on the road today, but in the diecast world, they are out there sparingly. If you find a Saturn Sky, man, grab it, man. It's not every day that you run into some of these diecasts that are so very hard to find. I'm always on the websites every day. I'm on Mercari, I'm on Facebook Marketplace, I'm on eBay. I'm always trying to find something out there that's extremely rare, something that's extremely hard to find, and make it become my collection. And a lot of times what I like about it is when I search hard enough for something and I don't find it, some way, somehow, it end up finding me. And that has happened to me lately. It has happened to me in the past few months. It's like whatever it is I'm looking for and I can't find it, for some strange reason, it finds me. So I'm happy that it does turn out like that. So, I can't complain, because it seems like whatever it is I'm looking for and I can't find it the first time around, for some strange reason it turns around and finds me. So I'm excited to be able to get a hold of some of the stuff that I have really been looking for. And yeah, so I'm highly grateful of what I got. But enough about that. I'm gonna go ahead and let you guys go on about your day. But like I said in the beginning, y'all, punch that subscribe button, punch that like button, even share this with some of the guys that's in the diecast community that love diecast cars. And keep your post notifications on, man, so when I drop these hot uploads, man, y'all will be the first to be able to see them and check them out yourself. Tell me what you think about the Saturn Sky. Drop your comments in the below and tell me what you think about it. Let me know if you heard of the Saturn Sky, or is this your first time knowing about the Saturn Sky, or if you were one of those people who were very familiar with the GM brand and a lot of the cars they had under their umbrella. Let me know in the comments what you think. But until next time, guys, y'all stay safe, stay prayed up, stay healthy, and again, good day.
But I just slide right by that energy. Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no.